container, let's say like a 600 milliliter beaker, and then you're going to mix it. It says water, but it doesn't tell you how much. Somebody that was here yesterday, how much water do you put in there? Not milliliters, but how do you know?
About 60 peanut butter.
Okay, about 60, but you say creamy peanut butter. About a little bit like a runny, creamy peanut butter. It's going to be painted onto your pottery as a glaze. Okay? So it's got to stick to your pottery, but it also has to be spreadable. So the amount of water is up to you. You just have to measure how much water is going in. You don't want to put too much because then you have to put this same ratio of powders back in order to try to get it thick again. So it's better to put too little than too much. You can always add a few more, a little bit more water at a time. All right. So that's one group. One group's going to be doing that. You're going to write in your interactive science notebook. If you would, go ahead and write the question: is making clay glazes a chemical reaction? And go ahead and give me a hypothesis. Remember, a hypothesis is a tentative or possible explanation. So you want to explain that making clay glazes is a chemical reaction or it's not. Then I want you to, you don't need a prediction on this one, just a good, strong hypothesis. Using the research that you've already done in our time here. So, question and hypothesis is what I'm requiring for your lab notebook. Okay? Now, for those of us that are going to be over here, we're going to take some clay and we are going to come up with a pottery piece. Because we want to use it for the glazes, right? Now, the pottery piece can't just be anything you want. You got to be creative. Okay? So the pottery piece has to be connected to something that you're learning or maybe have learned. For example, in social studies, you're learning about the Trail of Tears. So you could have American Indian artifact that you do, an arrowhead, something like that. You could have things that are connected to that subject. For math, you could have maybe something that's made in a shape that you're learning, or maybe it has an equation on it, where you can also write on them. It could be just a tile or a plate, but then on that tile or plate, it needs to have something that's connected to the understanding in that class. Okay? Also, if you can, we want to connect it back to chemistry. That's another option. For example, I have a student that is doing a turtle shell from biodiversity because they really liked that board the best. So they're doing a turtle shell. And then on the turtle shell, you have the little squares, right? So each of the squares is actually going to be one of the elements of the periodic table. But not just any element, but the elements that make up the keratin that makes up the shell.
That's cool.
Yeah. So there you have quite a bit of understanding to showing off, man. You're just showing off now. That's not even, that's just showing off. And that's what I want you to do. Don't ask me what the minimum is. I want you to show off.
What's the maximum?
So
Okay, maximum is they really need to be about 4 inches tall or less. They don't need to be too big. And another thing is, the other idea was to have some kind of proverb included and written on them somehow, like a Chinese proverb, an Indian proverb, any kind of proverb. It can be one that's an actual proverb or one you make up yourself that shows understanding, because our quarter is about poetry, right?
So can we make like a book and then on one of the we have a book and then
Absolutely. So you could have like a book shape, and then you could write something in there, poetic that's, yeah. Because we're actually, our part in science and chemistry is we're putting the glazes on. Now, I would love that poem's all about chemistry, but you can put whatever you want on there. would be awesome. Okay? Remember that it's going to shrink. Remember that it's going to, like, you know, so we'll see how it goes. This is the first time doing this for me. And so every year, whenever it's the first time, what I end up doing is I wait till you guys come up with phenomenal ideas, and then that becomes my standard for next year. I take the best ones and I say, okay, it needs to be like this. And so that's how we get to that point. So, soap, you guys are the forerunners for soap. So it's at least going to look like this, if not better, next year. So you guys have been the forerunners for quite a bit. So we've done a lot of different things. So is there any questions there? Before you can start molding anything with the clay, I need to see a diagram in your notebook of what you plan to do. You may want to do some research on pottery first. I saw some really cool stuff. You may want to kind of look over some like different types of pottery. If you're making a vase or something, there's a special way to do that where you make roll it out and then you make beads around it, and you just keep stacking them up. And then that way, smooth it out. So if you've never worked with clay before, you may want to run through a little video tutorial before you really get into it. It's up to you. Any questions? Good question. Those working on the clay creations, you do not need your eyewear on, but otherwise, those working in the back, you do. Be careful with the silica dioxide or silica oxide. You don't want to breathe that in for a long period of time. Not that anybody is, but just so you know.
Well, I think you do.
You can get silicosis, which is basically where you get this crystallization in your lungs. But that's really for people that work in an industry where that's used constantly and the dust is in the air all the time. It's not like it's in here when you're taking a spoon and putting it in the air. That's not what it's talking about. Okay? But I'm just warning you that you don't need to wear gloves. None of it's corrosive or irritant in any way, so you're fine there. Just eyewear for today. All right. Raise your hand if you're going to the lab. Going to the lab to mix the glaze.
Are those for people who were not here yesterday?
Yeah. Okay. If you guys would move back to the lab stations, I'll be right with you. The rest of you guys. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, give me a hypothesis here. Okay, once you have a diagram of what you're going to do, you can go ahead and the clay is here. It's in the recycling.
I'm not going to go.
Gotta share. You've got more coming with it. So, where are we at?
Oh.
Yeah, Alright, so we have the digital scale over here and the digital scale over here. Then you want to move back over there. All of you here. Okay. Just want to do this thing. Set your letter out what you want. This is the one that I would use. And I would put it, I would use this. Exactly right. We also use your balance. Check. Two, the others are scale. You guys see that? Alright, so you're going to put it there, and then you're going to put the amount that you want, the desired amount right inside. Okay? So, what I would do is get enough from over there to fill this up, or not fill it up, but make sure you have enough, and then back over here with a little sweep, and just keep going. Do it right. Then this, comes off, and put it into a container. This is probably and that's going to be stirred up. So you get all the powders in all. Then you start adding some water to it. Just that. Okay? Pears, this is pears. It's like, unless someone wants to do it by themselves. Okay. You can do pears. Okay, you guys, what you do is you can do more than that.
We both get 3 different colors.
Do one color first.
What color are you going? We're already going around. If not, she has a box about that big, and the 2 of them, that was one.
Fantastic, thank you. So there you go.
5,000 of those boxes.
Wonderful.
Oh, we're not there anymore.
Oh, you know what? Where's the string? I mean, the truck string.
The wire.
Yeah, the wire. Yeah.
So I would put the production column over it.
All right.
And then make a sign for the red.
Fantastic.
According to this cup is weightless.
Well, Okay. All right. That's incredible. No, we're gonna have to share.
Lily, did you just laugh at yourself? Huh? Did you just laugh at yourself?
Wow, that is excellent. I love that. There's a guitar string somewhere. We'll find it. There's a box. This one's in here.
I have it.
You have it? Okay.
Yeah, we already have.
Get that.
You're supposed to have 15% EPK, 15,000 EPK.
Of course it is. No. How to make a bird.
We should make it two.
And now I have exactly where exactly is the stuff that I'll make it
Wait,
There's a way of this stuff can, right?
that one,
You don't need the, you don't need to use the graduated cylinder. All you need is that's more of the wash.
if I can.
It's not fair. You can't tear it. There is something that you can't tear. You gotta try to find.
How thick should this be?
I don't know how much you need.
No. Just go get an empty cup, set it on here, and then tear it.
EPK is K1, and it's written on the container.
It couldn't have. I put two together.
It's clay.
There's actually orientation.
Put it in here. Yeah, that's still the outside. That is still.
You know what I mean about armature? Yeah. You can make an armature, but to make it stand up, it may be tough. You can look at my in the room and see if there's a pocket up there on it. Let's see if I've got some sticks.
Would it be bad if it was 2 grams off?
2 grams is a lot. If it's 2/10 of a gram, then no, it's not a lot.
Darn it! Yeah. Well, you still said it was that isn't wow. So a graduated cylinder actually has, yes, and, okay, cool. And this would be the least dense too. This would be the most dense respiration. Learn or that? Listen to that. Yeah. That's cool. Mr. Joy, what's this one? Where's the silicone on the You don't have the roots on.
It's over there. It's not on that in there. It's on the lab table.
Can you hear about this?